Every good coordinator is good because they understand the importance of making the defense vanilla and doing their best to make the defense predictable. And the best way that you can do that is to have an identity on offense and sequence your plays together, or making sure that you are layering your offense effectively. Today, I'm going to share with you the 5 layers that I think every offensive coordinator should look at when it comes to building out a playbook, whether it's from scratch, developing one that they already have, or maybe it's even scheming from week to week. You're going to see how one of the best coordinators in the game, Lincoln Riley at USC, layers plays in his offense. And at the end, I'm going to show you some stuff out of my own playbook and give you some game film so you can see how it unfolds on the field. Welcome and thanks for joining me here. I'm Coach Alex Besoff from the Spread Offense, and layering plays in an offense is really not a new concept, but it's definitely one that I think most often coaches overlook when it comes to developing their plays or scheming or building a playbook. In my experience as a high school football coach for the past 10 years, there's really 3 main problems that I see when it comes to an offense that does not have layers to it. The first problem that I see is that there is a disconnection between personnel and plays. Whether you operate out of multiple personnel groupings or maybe just one personnel grouping, sometimes it seems like there's just a variety of plays that are being called on game day, and it's kind of just spraying everything at the defense to see what sticks and what works. The issue with that is there's really no sequences between plays, and there's no connection from one play to the next. That makes it really difficult to establish any type of flow or rhythm to the game, and it really leads to the second problem that I see, which is that offenses really struggle to form an identity. The reason why they struggle to form an identity is because sometimes coaches are doing way too much, or they're so sporadic in what they want to try to get done that there's really nothing that comes out as far as what an offense is known for, and as a coach, like what you can hang your hat on. So I see a lot of times where offenses maybe in one personnel grouping and they only run a certain amount of plays out of that personnel grouping, and maybe they get into a different personnel and they only handcuff themselves to a certain amount of plays out of that personnel grouping. It's almost as if, depending on who steps on the field, there's just completely different offenses that take the field. And so there's a little bit of an identity crisis. And with those first 2 problems comes the third problem, which I see is that a lot of times coaches have a hard time making adjustments because they're not quite sure exactly what the defense is going to do. And that makes sense if you're not sure what you want to get done offensively and you don't really have your plays sequenced together, or you're lining up in a bunch of different formations and running just a bunch of different plays. It's really hard to figure out exactly how the defense is going to line up and how they're going to play you once the ball is snapped. Now, if you have any one of those issues on offense right now, don't worry about it. I want you to seriously consider these 5 layers that I think every offense coordinator should look at, and we're going to get into it right now, starting with the first layer. Now, the first layer for me is formations, and the reason why I always start with formations is because, well, that's where it all starts. It's all about how you line up and how the defense lines up to the offense. And so whether I'm considering a new formation or maybe a wrinkle to a formation that I have, I start with a couple questions. And the first question that I ask myself is more of a defensive-minded approach. And I ask myself, how do I think the defense is going to line up to this formation? I'm a visual person, so I usually draw it on a board, and I draw up defenses that I typically will face throughout the year. Once I get to this point, I usually ask myself, what type of advantage am I getting from this formation against this kind of defense? Do I get an advantage with numbers? Do I have any advantage with space, or do I have any advantage with leverage? Now, if I feel pretty positive about the answers to those questions, then obviously it's a formation that I should seriously consider moving forward with. But before I do, I ask myself another question, which is now more of an offensive-minded approach. Here I ask myself, what do we already do well on offense that I can use within this formation? So what are we good at, whether it's our run schemes, our pass concepts, and can I use that within this formation that I am considering operating av? Or maybe can I add a slight wrinkle to what we're good at so that way it can fit the formation that is currently on the board? If I feel good about that, where I feel like I have some sort of advantage and we can run a lot of the stuff that we do on offense out of a formation, then I usually move forward and move on to the second layer. Now, the second layer is our run game. And so for me, I usually think about it in 4 different ways. And the first way I think about it is, what type of run schemes do I like? Again, that's already in our offense and it's what we're already good at. But what do I like that can be ran to the strength of the formation? Next thing I think about is, what do I like that can be ran to the weak side of the formation? And then, because we're a read option team, I think about the possibilities of where the ball can end up. So I first think about, What type of run plays do we have that can be full flow, whether it's to the strength or to the weak side? And then what type of run plays do we have that can be split flow, meaning that the ball can either go out to the left or it can go out to the right, depending on the defense in terms of who we are reading on the defense. Now that the second layer is complete with our run game and understanding our run schemes that we're going to be using within the formation, I then move on to the third layer, which is our pass concepts. Similar to the second layer, our pass concepts obviously have to be within what we are currently doing and what we are good at offensively, because for me, I don't want to have to create new pass concepts just because I'm getting into a certain type of formation. That's too much learning, that's too much teaching. So it has to be something that's already within our playbook. That way our kids understand how to execute it, our receivers know how to run their routes, our quarterbacks know how to make their progressions. So I get into the pass concepts and I think about, what do we do right now? How can I use it within this formation? Maybe a slight wrinkle, but nothing too overhauling of the concept where it's basically a whole new concept and it requires teaching from the very beginning. I'd like to get a few concepts out of this. That way we have some sort of developed pass game when it comes to operating out of that formation. Now that we have the first layer of our formation, the second layer of our run schemes, the third layer of our pass concepts, we move on to the fourth layer, which is play action pass, boot pass, RPOs, if you like to RPO in your offense, or if you're like me, you are going to package your plays. Now, if you're not sure what packaging plays are, then go to the description below this video, click the link to my video on packaging plays. You're going to see what it's all about and how I use it in my own offense. Now, this fourth layer here is really what you're trying to do, is you're trying to take that second layer of your run scheme and marry it with your third layer in your pass concepts. So for example, if you're a wide zone team, you want to take that action in the backfield and marry that with your pass concepts. So it may not make sense to be a play action pass in the pocket style team. You may be more of a boot option in your play action pass. Or maybe you like to run your gap schemes and you will run power a ton of times during the game. Well, how can you play action off of power? By pulling a guard and showing that action. Or maybe you're like me and you really like GT counter. How can you use GT counter to set up your pass concepts? Maybe it's through your boot action and you're in some sort of naked boot off guard tackle pulling the other way. Whatever it may be, the goal as an offense coordinator is to take what you're good at in your run game to help set up your pass game, make it look like a run, so it's got to look exactly like your run scheme, and then obviously you're play faking to set up your pass concepts that you have. Now that those four layers are covered, we move on to the fifth layer, which is our screen game, and I think every good offense that operates at a high level has a really good screen game. Similar to the other layers, with our screen game, it's got to be something that we already have within our offense. So if you are someone that really likes tunnel screen, or you like bubble screen, or you like throwing screens to your tight end, maybe you're a guy that likes to throw running back slip screens, whatever it may be, you have to think about, what do we do right now? And again, it goes back to our formation. How can I utilize these screens in this given look? Screens can be a big part of the success of an offense, especially against defenses that are extremely aggressive, like to bring pressure. It's a great way to counter that pressure. It's a great way to get your athletes the football in space. If you have athletic linemen, you're able to get them out in front blocking for those athletes. So a lot of positives that can come from a solid screen game, which is why it's also part of one of those layers that goes into your offense. Now that we have an understanding of the 5 layers and really kind of my thought process that goes into developing plays in the playbook or scheming from week to week, let's jump into some film and look at Lincoln Riley and how he's layering plays at USC. Okay, here's USC from last year playing against Colorado, and this here is out of the formation of split backs. So on this look here, they're actually packaging their quick screen or a quick pass here to the boundary with their number 1 receiver, and they're running GT to the field. So they're actually going to be using the tight end here on the front side of this to help with the kick out, and they're going to wrap pull their tackle on the backside for the first color that they see. So this is what it looks like going to the field. You can see GT counter. There's the guard on the ready for the kick out. Tackles pulling, following to wrap, and tight ends there to help on the kick out as well. Caleb Williams has the option to be able to throw that quick to their single receiver if he's got it pre-snap, but with the corner walking down late, kind of getting close to that cushion, obviously that's a red light for him there, and he decides to make the smart move and hand the ball off to his running back, who obviously turns basically a 1-yard loss into a touchdown. I wouldn't say it's great offense, more probably poor defense on this play, but that's not reason why I'm showing you, is because he scored. I just wanted you to see what the split back looks here with GT counter, how it's packaged together with the quick screen to the receiver into the boundary. Because they will also run just straight up GT counter. It could be read option without the quick screen in that same formation. But this is one element, one layer to what they do. Okay, here we get to the next layer of Lincoln Riley with GT counter. Looks exactly the same. Same formation, same setup. The slot's on this time, although I don't know if he was on last time, but it looks exactly the same. And they're trying to make it look as the previous clip with GT counter to the field. Everything is going to look the same as far as backside guard on the kickout, backside tackle wrapping through, tight end here to help on the kickout as well. They're going to punch fake the running back here at the mesh point. But now they're going to be running tunnel screen to the number one receiver into the boundary. So they're going to take the center. He's going to bypass the 3 technique here, and he's going to look to kick out the first color he sees to the outside. The guard here is going to bypass as well, and he's going to get into the alley looking to pick up the first color that he sees. Most likely safety, probably filling the alley there. And then the tackle here is going to bypass as well, and he's the peel back block, which means he's going to get his head on a swivel, and he's looking to peel back for any color that is coming from the backside of the play. So they've had another layer to GT counter. Before it could have been just straight up GT split flow read option. Then it was GT packaged with the quick pass. But now it is making GT the base, but the layer of having a screen attached to it here. So this is what it looks like. And they're throwing tunnel screen up here to the boundary. Everything looks like counter until it's not. And just watch those second level defenders right there, those 2 inside backers. They're used to seeing guard tackle pull. If they're reading guard tackle or they're reading backfield action, everything looks to them like it's 100% run to the field. And so that's the benefit of being able to layer your plays here and have an answer for when the defense is responding this way to your run schemes. You're able to use that run scheme to set up your pass screens or your play action pass. So this is just USC knowing what they're good at, having a true identity to their offense, and being able to add layers to it. I actually wanted to show you this clip here too. It's on my YouTube channel, so I got a few of these from USC, so if you want to check them out, you can. But this is another layer to what they already do with their screen in GT counter. So now what they're going to do is they're going to fake counter tray to the right. Then they're going to fake the tunnel screen that you just saw from the previous clip and then come back to the running back for a delayed swing screen. So again, everything is going to look like counter to the field here. And then it's going to look like tunnel screen, which is what they've been known to do off of counter. But they're going to fake that tunnel and throw the running back swing screen to the field. And the slight difference in this now is guard tackle that are pulling in counter, instead of like trying to kick out and wrap, they're actually going to be working to the outside shoulder of the first color that they see, trying to pin that defender on the inside. So here's another layer to their offense, and it's part of their screen family here. And you can see it right there with faking the tunnel to the boundary, with counter going to the field, and watching 72 and their left tackle here pin those defenders. So a nice delayed swing screen off of counter and off of their tunnel. And one reason probably for this is this defense here, I believe maybe Fresno State, but how they're reacting to their tight end set and their twins into the field here, setting most of their numbers to the boundary here. So they're just trying to attack space, and they're able to do that by layering their plays with GT counter and their screens as well. So I wanted to show you that clip. So just another example of, like, he already layered tunnel screen with GT counter, and then he added another layer after that with the swing screen, which I think is pretty creative. All right, so this is us now, and what I'm going to show you here is just pretty much our whole series, our whole drive here, because if we're to talk about our layers, the first one here was with our formation of tight bunch, something that we got into quite a bit last year, and we did a lot of different things out of. And I'm going to show you how these plays are sequenced together on this drive, and basically how it took us all the way down to the 10-yard line. And then also kind of give you some insight into what I was thinking as a play caller in terms of making an adjustment based on how the defense was presenting themselves to our formation and what we were trying to get done. So one thing that we really liked out of this tight bunch set was outside zone to the boundary, which basically was just a toss play for us. And it was really had some pin and pull elements to it too. So in case you want to know about the scheme and how it was blocked, I'll go over it real quick. We took our point man and we have him blocking down on the end man on the line of scrimmage. And then we take our number 1 receiver and he's going to be blocking on the outside backer who lines up head up on our point man. And we take our number 3 receiver and we wrap him around for the first color that he sees, which is most likely the corner there. And then to get another hat to the point of the attack, we pull our tackle around the bunch, and that's where it's kind of pin and pull, and he picks up the first color that he sees to the inside. So the way that we teach it to our receivers in that bunch set with our buzzwords, we say down, down, around. And that really helps them in their blocking in terms of being able to pin the edge and try to set that edge for the toss to the boundary here. So this is the first time we got into this formation during the game, and just wanted to see what the defense was going to do. We knew they were a too high structure team. We knew the nickel traveled to trips, even man front. Corners weren't really playing cloud position to the boundary, so thought right away we could get numbers, we could get space, we could get leverage, and rightfully so with that first play, we get 11 yards. So first time they see it, so why not run it again? I don't think they would necessarily make an adjustment that fast because they're not going to change a whole lot, I don't think, from one play to the next as far as what their base is and what they're good at defensively. So we go back to the toss to the boundary again. So tight bunch, toss to the boundary, pull the tackle, down, down, around, and we pick up another 11 yards. So there's our run scheme that we are operating out of our tight bunch. You can call this a layer, maybe a wrinkle, but still wanted to get the same end result, but wanted to show it a little bit different. So we just kind of motioned, I guess, to a wildcat position, something that we did quite a bit of throughout the year too, to run different things within our offense. And here we just basically ran sweep with our running back. Now the only difference here is we're getting our quarterback out in front to help at the point of attack, and hopefully he can get his hand on someone and get in someone's way, which he does. And we pick up another 11 yards or so. So 3 plays out of that formation, and they're all toss plays and obviously success. So we continue to go with that. And why not one more just for good measure here? We toss it and we pick up 4 yards. Okay, so right away, kind of now what I'm looking at is when we get to the line of scrimmage here, though, this here is what I'm looking at from the defense. This alone has already determined what I'm going to call next in my play calling. So I'm ready for the adjustment because if you've seen before in the previous clips, their safeties are off and their corners are off. But now these guys, the third level players, are really starting to creep up. Now they're at 8 yards as opposed to 10 to 12. Their corners up at 4 or 5 yards. So when we get into our formation, I already know my next play that I'm going to call because I'm already ready to make my adjustment. We're going to stay in the tight bunch, but you're going to see the layer that comes next off of this tight bunch look and our toss look here. And so that layer is the 4th layer of play action pass. So for us, we wanted to be able to run one of our best concepts, which is double post off of our tight bunch stuff. And we were able to do that. And we also married our toss fake into that as well. So you talk about play action pass, like what run game in the backfield is going to help your play action pass. You want to make sure that it's consistent and stays the same. So we're going to play action pass toss, and we're going to run double post. So the number 2 receiver, he's going to run the inside post. The number 1 receiver, he's going to run the outside post. And then our number 3 receiver is going to run the wheel route behind him. And then our number 1 receiver on the backside is running a burst corner. So you can even see from the bunch set, it almost looks like our blocking scheme of down, down, and around, but it's actually double post. And from what you see, I mean, look at the defense in terms of their adjustment, and they're a little more downhill, ready to try to make the tackle at the line of scrimmage off toss. So we fake the toss, and we attack them vertically with double post. If we're able to put that ball out in front of him, he's probably going to score a touchdown. If we hit the post on the outside, he'll score a touchdown. If we throw the wheel route, he's going to score a touchdown. The only reason why it was that effective is because of the action that they saw the previous 3-4 plays. But again, having layers to this, those toss plays were effectively setting up this double post shot which is what we wanted to get to. So now that we've taken our vertical shot, we see the defense, okay, most likely my anticipation is they're going to be back. They're going to be off again. They just got beat vertically. They're probably not going to be sitting at 8 yards anymore, so we'll probably get a little extra cushion. Let's go back to tight bunch, and let's run toss again. Simple, right? But it works. Another 11 yards. Hey, let's do it one more time. See how they adjust. Okay, so right away, getting a 7-man box. And now that we're down inside the 15-yard line, double post is not something that I really like. But I already know my next play that's going to be coming in is going to be something on the perimeter trying to obviously attack away from their numbers. Now, with this look here, I felt like we'd be pretty comfortable with the screen to our single receiver. But on the next play, they played it fairly decent. But at the same time, we didn't execute all that well. So now we're going to get into that 5th layer of having a screen in terms of this formation here. So we're going to make everything look like toss going this way. And then we're going to be running screen to our single receiver. So we run tunnel screen, and we're just simply running tunnel screen to him. Our right tackle is going to kick step, and then he's out to kick out first color. Our right guard should kick step, and then he fills the alley for first color, which he doesn't get out for some reason. I'm not sure why. And then our center will kick, and then he is out flat looking to peel back for first color that comes from the backside of this thing. It was a successful play for us, although we didn't execute it. Like I said, our guard didn't get out. We kind of double catch it there, but at least we're able to make a move and still pick up like 4 to 5 yards. So there you can see our tunnel screen working off of our tight bunch formation, working off of our toss outside zone to the boundary. So you can see how our plays are layered, and it all starts with our formation, with a solid run scheme, with our good pass concepts and play action, and then lastly with a tunnel screen to the field there. You can see how much layering your plays is going to help you offensively. It's going to help you sequence plays together so that one play can set up the next play. It's going to help you give yourself an identity on offense so your kids know exactly what they're good at, what they can hang their hat on, which is going to empower them in those schemes. And then lastly, it's going to help you as a coach to be able to make adjustments in game because you're going to be one step ahead of the defense, knowing exactly what play to call next. Now, one formation that I think every coach should have is condensed formation. So if you want to see what that looks like, then click on the video that you see now. Check out my next video of condensed formations, why every OC should be working with condensed formations in their offense. Thanks for watching. I'm Coach Besaw from the Spread Offense, and I'll see you on the next one.